Oh wow, look how pretty my backdrop is. What? Upping up our quality over here. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Miss Marissa Blanco. I am going to be a fourth year, third grade teacher in the upcoming fall. That sounds so weird because for the past 3 years, I've been calling myself a fifth grade teacher. So now it's completely different. Today's video is going to consist of two things. One, how I became a teacher, and two, my teacher interview process. That will be a little bit shorter. So I did want to talk about my background first. Let's get started. First of all, I want to explain why I'm making this video. Here we go. My second video on this YouTube channel is my failed student teaching vlog. I would not have predicted that this video would be my most watched video, really. And if you look up teacher in Houston on like a search bar for YouTube, that's the video that gets posted. I'm like, what? Guys, I never in a million years. I always thought it would be like my classroom setup videos or like teacher hauls, but no, that one where I'm crying, I'm red in the face, the camera quality is glitching and high, and oh my god, I can't believe it. So you know, in that video at the very end, I talked about how I wanted to make a video about how I became a teacher, you know, how I succeeded, because I think it was my second year. So I wanted to talk about that, as well as I think a comment also asked for an update on how I became a teacher. So here we go. Now we are here with much better quality with the camera and a nice background in my own apartment. It's crazy how things change in just 2 years. Let's go. All right, so this goes back 6-7 years now to UT Austin, University of Texas at Austin. Oh, I love that school. It was such a good experience, guys. I definitely recommend it, but freaking expensive. I'm still paying loans for that school. I think I'm down to $5,000, so I'm gonna try and get it like for gift, but I don't know if that'll work. So I did graduate with a degree in youth and community studies with a minor in education, because originally my major was going to be general ed, right? Well, that failed because I completely failed my student teaching, as you will know from the video. Now, before I graduated, which I was so fortunate to, a lot of times you don't get that opportunity, so I'm so grateful that I was able to graduate with no problems. I did take my 2 tests. Now, in Texas, back in 2017, you have to have 2 tests in order to become a certified Texas teacher. You have to get your core content as well as your PPR. Your core content can be from EC through 6, which is what most people chose, 4 through 8, or 6 through 12, or EC through 12, right? Depending on what your focus was. Mine was EC through 6, early childhood through 6th grade. I took it. That thing was like 5 hours. Guess what? I failed because of social studies, because they only give you like 40 minutes for like 50 questions. And I barely failed it. I think if I had gotten 3 more questions right, I would have passed it. So I did fail my core content. And then prior to that, I did take my PPR. That one I passed with no problem. That was like the highest score. So I couldn't have gotten my standard certificate, but I could retake my core content basically like up to 5 times, I think, anytime I wanted. But then I was going to take it during summer, like after I graduated, but then I failed student teaching. So I was like, what's the point, right? I didn't even want to think about it. I was like, no, I'm lucky to even graduate, right? So here comes the summer of 2017. I was like, what the heck am I gonna do? I need a job, right? I failed. I still graduated. I got my degree. It's hanging up in my mom's house. But what kind of job can I get now that I don't have my teacher certificate? So I looked it up. It was like jobs that I can do with a degree in youth and community studies. And I was fortunate to be able to get a teacher intern at my previous school. So pretty much fast forward 1 year. Now it's the summer of 2018. I already have 1 year under my belt as a teacher intern. I knew that I still wanted to become a teacher. I was like, okay, so summer. I was like, how do I become a teacher? But I don't want to go back to university. I don't want to redo the whole thing. How, do I become a teacher? And here comes the big word. Alternative Teacher Certification Program, other known as ATCP. Pretty much you can get your teaching certification, and a lot of people actually, use this opportunity. They don't really go to college like I did. I was really shocked that a lot of teachers got their certification through ATCP. So that was actually a shock to me. So I was like, okay, so I need a good ATCP program because I wanted something that would help me and not just like throw me into the fire. I feel like University of Texas was great. They supported me, but I just think that I needed to be able to work, have money, because you didn't get paid when you were student teaching. That's the number one thing I think they should change. You need to get paid because basically you're there just like any other teacher. At least get paid like maybe half of what they're getting, or like even like $10 an hour or something, but you like literally no money whatsoever during UT Austin. So, and I couldn't have a job because they say you're not gonna have time for a job. So I think that's the number one mistake that universities need to consider. Like, you need to pay your student teachers something so they don't go broke and have mental health and problems with finance. Okay, so basically yada yada yada, fast forward summer of 2018, right? So I was like, okay, well, what are some awesome ATCP programs? I had looked at like Texas Teach, Texas Teachers, HCC, Lone Star. I think University of Houston had something like that, but they were a little tricky. So some of the programs were 1 year versus 2 years. Some of them were more expensive. Some of them were more cheaper. Some of them had more, classes. Some of them had more observations. So definitely a lot of like different, versions out there. So I decided on HCC, which is Houston Community College. And guys, I definitely do recommend, if you are in Houston, if you are in Texas, I definitely do recommend Houston Community College. They were really amazing. They helped me a lot throughout the process. I really had no problem with them. Like, everybody that I spoke to really helped me out whenever I had a question, like, hey, what about this, what about this, what about this? And even now I still email them sometimes about like additional certifications, and they always respond to me like within a couple of days, and they're so sweet. They're very nice. So I definitely recommend HCC if you are thinking about a ATCP program. All right, so one of the reasons why I chose HCC was because they had a 2-year program, whereas other places would have a 1-year program. Like, you could literally teach the next year after that. And I was like, I don't know. It had been a year since I graduated. I had failed. I wasn't ready to jump into teaching that quick. So HCC's program was the first year, all classes. A whole bunch of classes online about children, about psychology, pretty much kind of like university again, but like squished. And then the second year would be more observation / you are actually observing a classroom, taking notes, observing, and somebody comes to observe you, and a lot more like hands-on approach. You're not really taking classes. That's like your first year done and done. So pretty much I went to Saturday school, I think the entire 2 years. I'm not sure. I remember I went to Saturday school for sure my first year. I just don't know about my second year. It's been a while. But I remember my Saturday schools, even though I hated getting up early because it was like down south of Houston, that lady, I forgot her name, but she was amazing. She was kind of like the one that inspired me to like, okay, I can actually do this. Because I remember I did a lesson with my, co-students who were also trying to become teachers, and I got picked to do I think 4th grade science, I think it was 5th grade science, about reflection versus refraction. I remember I went to Dollar Tree with my mom, got spoons, mirrors, glasses, like all kinds of stuff, and I knocked it out the park. It was amazing. She was like, wow, I have never given anyone 100, but I will today. And I was like, whoa. So, and everybody else was like, well, how can I beat that? You know, like, it was just amazing. She really truly made me feel like I, you know, wanted to become a teacher. So kudos to her. I wish I remembered her name. I don't, yeah, I want to know who she was. Either way, so my second year, this was 2019 to 2020 school year. I was still a teacher intern at my previous school, except this time I was able to cover for a teacher who was on maternity leave for about 3 months. Those were the toughest 3 months of my life. My God, that class, it was second grade. Oh, that is truly when I learned that classroom management is truly the most important thing you need to have in your classroom, because that was not it. It was horrible. Maybe I'll talk about that in a separate video, but no, that was not good. So during my second year at HCC, you know, we're observing, we're teaching more in the classroom, we're trying to share a classroom with other people. I retook my core content, specifically just the social studies, which I'm grateful for. I'm glad that I didn't have to retake the whole test, just social studies. I passed it, so second time I passed it. Now I'm able to apply for a standard certificate. I'll put a picture here to let you guys know what that looks like. This is public knowledge, by the way. If you guys ever look, you know, Texas certificates, you can actually look mine up. This is public knowledge right here. Of course, it was like $75, but pretty much they were like, okay, we just need to get your fingerprints, we need your core content, pass, you know, certificate, and then we need your PPR. Bada bing, bada boom, got it, I'm done. And I got my standard certificate. So then, so this was like finalized all in May. They gave me the certificate in June, beginning of June, and then I was able to give this to my like HR, human resources at my previous school. I also showed it to like my principal. I showed it to like the superintendent, saying like, hey guys, congrats, like passed, you know, here's my standard certificate. So, you know, they congratulated me. And previously, the month before May, my principal was like, hey, the 5th grade ELAR teacher is going to become a principal. She starts her principalship, like internship, next year. Do you want to take over her 5th grade class? I was like, yes, sign me up. And she knew that I was finishing up my certification, so it was just like perfect. So then that fall of 2020 COVID year was my first year of teaching. So pretty much that's how I became a teacher through ATCP. Took 2 years. I loved it. I'm glad I took the 2 years, so that way it would not just felt so rushed. I felt like 1 year is not enough to learn the courses, to learn, you know, the observation, for someone to come in and observe you. No, I need it stretched out to 2 years. 2 years is like the sweet spot. So definitely that is what I wanted to talk to you guys about. HGC ATCP program, that is how I became a teacher. Alright everybody, so now we're going to talk about my teacher interview process for this upcoming fall. So a little bit of background. I pretty much knew I wanted this year to be my last year. I was already tired. I've been there for 6 years. I will be forever grateful for them for, you know, giving me the opportunity to first, you know, work straight out of college with no experience, and then becoming a teacher, having 3 years there under my belt, 6 years in total. I will always forever be grateful. But I knew that I just needed to move on. I knew that it wasn't the right school for me anymore. I knew that there were things that I wanted that I wasn't getting. I primarily was looking for a, you know, classroom that had closed walls. If you guys know, if you guys been watching my vlogs, you guys would know that I have been teaching for 3 years. with an open concept wall where the the walls do not touch the ceiling, so you can pretty much hear everybody. And guys, that is like the most horrible layout, especially during crazy months like right before Christmas break or right before spring break or pretty much after spring break. The entire April and May is just chaotic. So I definitely was looking for a school that had closed walls, windows. Guys, if you guys teach in a classroom that has windows, please appreciate them, because again, if you guys know, I did not have any windows. I had one window to the hallway. So pretty much we would just see all the kids walking by, all the teachers walking by, and we had no outside windows. It was torture, guys. Like, all we had were our fluorescent lights, harsh fluorescent lights. They were just not good. And I'm like a plant in a way. I need sunlight, even though sometimes I hate being in the sunlight because then I get very burned. It's always good to see sunlight, even when it's raining, so it's sometimes nice to see the rain. I don't know. So after, being in a school for 6 years that has no windows, now that I'm gonna have windows in my new classroom, I am forever going to be grateful. Okay, so another thing that I was looking for was a lot more like specials, a lot more enrichment. At my school, you only had two things. It was outside time and library. And not even library, because you couldn't even check out books. The librarian would come to your classroom and maybe read a story to you. And then outside time was for about like 25 minutes, maybe get to enjoy the sun, maybe get to play a little bit of soccer, a little bit of kickball, a little bit of basketball. You couldn't even be on the playground because you were fifth graders. I don't know. It was just, no. I wanted a school that had a lot more choices, because there was STEM, but that was for middle school only, and there was PE, but that was for middle school only, and you had art, but that was for middle school only. So elementary just, no, got nothing. Okay, so that was another reason why I wanted to leave, because when middle school started to take over our poor elementary school, they got all the good stuff and we were left with pretty much nothing. So that's kind of what I wanted to leave as well. So I wanted definitely a school that had enrichment, and my new school is going to have art, music, PE 2 times, library, and then something else. I can't remember. It was music, art, PE, library, and another computer lab, I think. I can't remember, but definitely like something every day. I was also looking for a school that had substitutes that were completely different from enrichment, because at my previous school they were the same. So if somebody was absent, like a teacher was absent, somebody from the enrichment team would come and substitute for that class, and obviously there would be no enrichment for that day. So obviously no. So it was called ancillary back then, not enrichment, but now we call it enrichment at my new school. So this one has completely separate, like literally you call a substitute to come in and like, hey, can you cover my class for today or tomorrow or for next week? So for sure that's covered. I also wanted recess. We could not have recess at my previous school. I don't even think pre-K got recess. I think they had recess like a couple of times, but they also weren't allowed. I don't know why. I'm not gonna get into that. But definitely, we really weren't allowed to have recess unless it was like they tested that day. Unless that class tested, you cannot go outside, and especially don't go outside during the 6th grade or 7th grade or 8th grade PE time. So that was another thing. So obviously, I wanted a school or even a school district that was like mandatory recess, even if it's like raining, indoor recess. So obviously I was like, yes, this school, and my principal was like, you cannot take away recess. I'm like, I wasn't planning to. Like, I love recess. I love when they run. I love when they have free time. I love when they, you know, go out and be kids. I think that's a problem in our generation, is that the kids are growing up too fast. Just be kids, guys. Run, have fun, go play on the swings. So I'm excited for that. And you know, there's a lot more things that I've wanted, but definitely a lot of the major, you know, things that I wanted are checked off at this new school. I'm very, very excited, as well as a supportive admin. I know I did have that in my previous school. They were just not, they were very limited because of the, you know, district of like the admin on the upper side. But they really wanted to be as supportive as they could be, but sometimes they were very limited to what they could do. So I understand that. So I'm glad that I haven't seen it because obviously I haven't been there, but I'm hopeful that my new administration will be as supportive as they were, and even more. So let's go ahead and keep going with the back. That was a long background. So basically it was March of 2023. I had already knew, like I said, that I wanted to leave. So March 2023, spring break, I was looking, I was okay. I definitely want to do this ISD that was close to me, because I'm like the closest. I didn't really want to do HISD, considering, you know, the TEA takeover thing was kind of happening at the time. So I was like, I'm not feeling up to it, right? But I did make a whole like Google document. That is what I have right now. I have my tablet here. Basically, you know, kind of, and I do recommend that. Do like a little Google Doc kind of showing you like a lot of the interviews. So I apply to a lot of private schools. I don't want to say it because they're pretty close to me, so I don't want y'all to stalk me. I did apply to a lot of academies. I applied to a charter school. I applied to online schools, like tutoring schools. I even applied to ed tech companies. So I applied to like Newzella, I applied to Cambion, I applied to Idea Kids, Math Science, which is kind of like a science STEM program that's close by. I even applied to the YMCA. I applied to a bunch of different places. Like, I think in total I applied to over 25 places. So that was pretty crazy, but I pretty much knew I wanted to be in an elementary school. I would love to do private school, but I know that they're more Montessori, and I was like, I'm not sure about that life. And then they would get paid less, and like, I'm not sure about that life. So I knew an ISD at a public school would definitely be the best choice. So my current ISD, their application was a lot. That thing took me like 3 days. Like, it was a lot. So finally, I think I finished like the week after spring break. Yeah, so after that, it was pretty much like a week goes by, and then like that Tuesday of like the next week, I finally got an email. Hi, hello, we're from this school. It's a charter school. We would like to set up an interview process, yada yada yada. When are you available? And I was like, ooh. So it's tough when you're a teacher at a school and you're trying to interview for another teacher position, because obviously you cannot, you know, leave school to go to an interview. So you have to make the workaround. You have to make that adjustment. Either you know, ask for a day off, like, hey, but at my previous school they only give you 5 days, and I already used those 5 days. So I was like, I have no days left. So even if I were to take off a day, I would not get paid. And I ain't about that life. I want to get paid, okay? So I was like, okay, I get off at 4:40. I get off at 4 o'clock. Can we do 4:40? Because I think by the time I get to your school, it would take me like around that time. Yeah, absolutely. So after school, I ran to the charter school. I did my interview. They were great. I think they loved me. I was super nervous because it was the first interview that I had since 6 years, okay, because the last time I interviewed was fall of 2017, so that was crazy. So super nervous, but I interviewed with the principal and the vice principal. You know, they asked me a lot of questions about Spanish and my, you know, the curriculum and all that stuff. So they really liked me because they had asked me for a mock interview, and I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. A demo lesson where you come in, you teach for 45 minutes during school. So obviously this cannot be after school. This would be during school. So I would have to take off, you know, a day and not get paid for a demo lesson that I might not get. So they were like, can we do it the week of the 15th of May? And I was like, ooh, okay, I'll try my best, okay? So a couple days after that, you know, I was feeling like, okay, I'll try my best. I'll try to take off a day. I don't know what's going on. Oh, I hope I don't look too different from before. Sorry guys, the battery died, so I had to charge you. This was about 30 minutes ago, so I have absolutely no idea where I ended off. We ended off with the charter school. Okay, so they told me, we want you to come in to do a mock interview. I was like, I'll try my best. And pretty much a couple days after that, because again, this is like the first 2 weeks of April where everything happened. The ISD school that is nearby, I had 3 interviews for, all in the same week. It was absolutely insane. One was on Wednesday, one was on Thursday, and one was on Friday the same week. Crazy. The one on Wednesday was by Zoom, the one on Thursday was by in person, and the one on Friday was by Zoom in the morning. So here we go, let me explain, okay? So on Friday, the week before, one of the schools called me but emailed me. They were like, hey, we would love to set up an interview for a 4th grade ELAR/social studies position. I was like, perfect. So again, the whole problem situation happened with like, can we do it after school? They're like, yeah, sure. So she was a little bit more lenient toward that. So it was about like, it was like 4:45, I think. So we set it up for that Thursday of next week for 4:45. Then Monday came by, and then my school, the one that I accepted, she emailed me and was like, hey, would you like to set up an interview for a 3rd grade ELAR/social studies position? I was like, yeah, absolutely. Now, I liked the first school better. I even saved it as my favorites because they were a lot closer to me. They were probably about like 10 minutes, whereas the second school that emailed me was about 15 minutes, and it was more like to the west. So I wasn't even gonna say yes. First of all, I literally was gonna decline them, say, hey, sorry, because I did do that for another school that had called me, you know, after I had accepted my offer, but they were way too far. It would be like a 20-minute drive, and that's without traffic. So I was like, sorry, I'm gonna have to decline. So I did have to decline some due to distance, and I was going to do it for my school, but I was like, let me give them a chance, right? I'm so glad I did. Like, look at that. Can you believe that? So they were like, okay, well, when can you do it? Now the only problem was they're an early start school, so pretty much like they're done by like 2:30. So obviously it wouldn't have worked out considering I leave at 4. So she's like, can we do Zoom? And so she didn't have anything for Thursday, she didn't have anything for Friday, but she did have for Wednesday. I was like, okay, I can't do it at 4 because I have a staff meeting at 4, and obviously I can't go to an interview when I'm supposed to be in my staff meeting. So can we do it at 5? She's like, yeah, perfect. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I have never heard of a Zoom interview that late, so I'm very grateful for that. So I go upstairs after my staff meeting. Luckily, my principal left us off a little bit early. Oh, I'm skipping, hold on. So I have 2 interviews, right? 2 interviews. One on Wednesday at 5 p.m. on Zoom, one on Thursday in person at 4:45, okay? Then on Tuesday, right? Tuesday, this is before my Wednesday interview. Tuesday, another school called me, or emailed me. I keep saying call. Emailed me saying, hey, we would like to set up an interview for a 4th grade ELAR / social studies position. Are you interested? Yes. And I like this school as well because they're closer to me as well. I was also thinking of distance when I thought about this, and I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I obviously said no to Wednesday, I said no to Thursday. Can we do it next week? She's like, well, I would love to do them all my interviews this week. I don't know why the first 2 weeks of April was like a hot, you know, it was very hot for interviews. So I was like, can we do Friday after school? She's like, I have another interview. What about Friday morning? Oh goodness, how early in the morning on Friday? And I was like, can we do it at 7? And I look, ever since I moved closer to my previous school, I barely got up like 6:45. I don't know about going. So I was like, yes, absolutely, sure. Okay, so we set it up. So I had one on Wednesday, one on Thursday, and one on Friday, all in the same week. Chaos. It was crazy. And again, I remember I had a previous one on last week, so I already kind of knew what the interview process was going to look like. So here we go. Skipped forward to Wednesday. I'm super nervous. I have everything ready in my resume, my cover letter. I have pictures. I kind of practiced what I was gonna say. I'm you know, hyping myself up. I went upstairs to, like, literally inside my school, which is kind of ironic, but inside my school there's like some conference rooms upstairs. Freaking cold as hell. I don't know why it's so cold in that room, but it's freezing up there. So I went upstairs, put on a sweater, and then did my interview. It lasted about an hour. I had about like 8 people interview me, from the librarian to the vice principal to the principal to like the specialist to like the SPEDS. But it was like 8 different people. It was crazy. So they kept asking me questions about classroom management, as well as my experience, as well as, you know, all the simple interview questions. A lot about classroom management, a lot about like how I would bring low students up, how I would, you know, utilize time, and, you know, how I would utilize, you know, all my activities and all of my special times and all of my prepping times and all, you know, all those stuff. So I loved it. I was like, yes, absolutely, I love them. And even prior to that, the school called one of my references to, like, you know, leave a review for me. So that was great. And then she's like, I left a great review for you. I was like, oh, thank you, you're so sweet. And then the principal was like, hey, all I need to do is just call your second reference, and then, you know, we'll move on from there. I was like, perfect. So that's done. I felt really, really great about this. And again, this is the school that I accepted, so keep that in mind. So Thursday comes around, I leave right at 4, and I barely made it. It was like 4:43 when I barely saw the school, and I was like, I'm going. So I barely made it. I waited. I only interviewed with the principal and the vice principal. And again, they asked me a lot of questions about like, you know, like classroom management, and a lot about data driven. How would you use the data to drive your instruction, and how would you use your, you know, curriculum and all that. What do you use for supplements and all that kind of stuff. And I really liked it. She even gave me a tour of the school, which unfortunately I didn't get to do with the other two because of their Zoom, but they definitely were a lot of data driven, like data walls everywhere you could look at. But it was beautiful. Like, the school was enormous, beautiful. The lab area, like, wow, amazing. So definitely much better school than what I was used to. I think everything just surprised me at that point because it was so brand new. So that goes around. Now here's the thing. Okay, now keep this in mind. Listen, okay, so I know it's a lot of story because everything happened all in 3 days. On Thursday, right, I had that interview at 4:45, but at lunchtime, right, the principal from Wednesday's interview called me and said, hey, I just talked to your second reference, and we would like to offer you the position for 3rd grade ELAR / social studies. And I was like, oh my god, thank you, like, you know, all the excitement. I'm literally eating lunch. I'm literally eating my hot dog like with my chips, and she called me. I don't know, like, how she knew it was my lunchtime. I don't know, but it was amazing. But I was like, wait a minute, I literally have 2 more interviews on Thursday, like that same day, and then Friday. I was like, can I get back to you? because, you know, I just have to think about it. She was like, yeah, absolutely, just don't wait too long. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I go to the interview on Thursday, you know, already knowing that I have secured another position. You know, it just kind of felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders. So Thursday, go to the interview. It went great. I think they liked me, but I never heard back from them. So I don't know what went wrong there. But definitely a lot of data-driven walls. And then Friday is the other interview. I did not like them at all. I'm sorry. No. It was awkward, and first of all, I got up early. It was like 6 o'clock because I had my dog with me. It was 6 o'clock. I got up early. I went to school early. Even the custodian was like, you here early? I was like, yeah, I'm here early. And she was like in shock because I had never come in early ever since I moved. So I already have problems with the internet. Zoom was not working. I had to restart my computer. It was just already just not going very good. And then a whole bunch of questions. And then I didn't even interview with the principal. I interviewed with the vice principal, but the principal was on Zoom but with the black screen, and they were like, oh, she's driving. So I'm like, what? I don't know. It just felt awkward. It felt weird. It felt too tight. I didn't know. It just didn't feel right for me. So after that horrendous interview, first of all, let me go ahead and tell y'all before I forget this. All of the 3 schools, like back-to-back, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, were all in that ISD that I had applied to. So just keep that in mind. The only other school was a charter school that were independent, but all of the other 3 interviews were from that ISD district school. So lunchtime came on that Friday, and I was like, I know what I'm gonna do, right? So I called the principal from Wednesday interview for the school that I'm at, and I was like, hi, I'm just here to tell you I would love to accept your offer for the 3rd grade ELA position. She's like, yay, such great news, you've made my Friday, yada yada yada. So she's like, I'm gonna go ahead and send your HR stuff now. You should be hearing from them soon. Yay. So that's when I told my friends, that's what I told like my co-workers, I got the job, because some of them had known already that I wasn't happy at that school, that I was looking. Obviously I didn't tell my principal, I didn't tell any of the admin except for one because she was my reference, but pretty much everybody else was just kind of kept in the dark. So I told my sister, I told my mom, but like a week after, because I made like this cool little intricate little, you know, design cut into pieces, then you had to like put them in. It said, I am a 3rd grade teacher. It was really cool. I recorded it, but I'm not going to show it to you guys, but it was really fun. So Monday comes along. First of all, I didn't hear anything back from the other 2 schools, so, but I did have to email the charter school saying that, hey, unfortunately I'm going to have to not continue our interview process. So that was a bummer. I didn't hear anything back from them either. So I don't know why they didn't say like, hey, sorry, we're not going to continue with, you know, you anymore. I don't know. Either way, so Monday comes along. This is the Monday after I got offered and accepted. HR calls me from the ISD school, says, hey, everything's going great. We just want to let you know that we're just missing your reference from your principal. And she's like, yeah, so we do need to have your principal reference just to make sure that everything goes well and smoothly. I'm like, okay. She's like, is that going to be a problem? No. Like, what? How? So my principal did not know at that point, because this is like early April. We still have all of April and all of May to, you know, finish. So she's like, yeah, so we do need that, so go ahead and put the phone number of your principal on your like application, and then we'll be able to contact her. I'm like, okay. So that day I put the phone number and her email. And then the next day, Tuesday, I told my principal. I literally stood outside her office like 15 minutes, get like the courage, be like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I have to tell her, I have to tell her. What do I tell her? How do I tell her? So finally I go up there like, hey, is this a good time? She's like, yeah, sure, what do you need? And I'm like, oh God, I don't know what I tell her. So I'm like, hey, just wanted to let you know that I'm officially not going to be returning back next year. It was awkward. She's like, oh, okay, just thanks for letting me know. You know, I don't know, like, it's kind of weird. Like, how do you say something like that? And I was like, well, I just wanted to let you know before you're blindsided, because I know you don't like that. She hates being blindsided. That you will be getting a call from the ISD soon. And she's like, okay, thanks for letting me know. Just to let you know, though, I might not be able to say anything just because the superintendent doesn't let me do any references for any people. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. But she seemed really nice about it. She was like, what school are you going to? What district? What grade level? What subject? You know, she was asking me all these questions about, like, congratulations. And so I thought we left it off on a good note. I was like, okay, thank you, bye. So they spent a week calling her, texting her, and like she said, she didn't pick up. She couldn't answer. She's like, sorry, I can't answer any questions for you. My superintendent does not let me. So the next following Monday, right, they're like, hey, we just spent a week trying to contact your principal, and we're just gonna go ahead and just move on from that. So congratulations, you're officially part of the ISD. Welcome, you know, to ISD. And we're gonna go ahead and move on. Here's your new hire process. Here's like your roadmap. We need to set up a contract signing day. So one was like May 17. She's like, I know you're still in school, so that might not work for you. So we do have June 1st. I'm like, yes, June 1st. Sign me up, please. She's like, okay, June 1st from 8:30 to 11:30. Go ahead and we're gonna continue that. And then we just have like a couple of things like your like bank information, your you also need to get something notarized. I'm like, notarized? What the heck? Just to make sure I'm not a criminal. So I don't know. I didn't have anything back fingerprinted, but I think TA has that. So I don't think I need to get fingerprinted for the district. I'm not quite sure. So she's like, we also just need your official transcript, and that's pretty much it, just for your contract signing day. And I was like, perfect. So I spent the entire month, because again, this was like late April, so I had the entire month of May. I pretty much told everybody the whole month of May, hey, I'm not coming back, so you know, like yada yada yada, I'm just catching up as much as I can. So everybody at that school pretty much knew that I was done at the end of May and that I was going to move on to another school. So I didn't want them to be like, what, where'd she go, you know, one day, like. So I just wanted to let them know, because my principal already knew, so, and then district knew, admin knew, so everybody knew at that point by like May that I was like gonna be leaving and that I already had another job. So that's pretty much it. So the entire month of May, I just kind of finalized everything. I had that, you know, that paper notarized. It cost me $8 at the UPS store. Don't go to Wells Fargo or don't go to Chase. I think I just went to UPS, got it done in 15 minutes. Cost me $8, but I got it done. And then I had to fill out like this T9 information, and then I got my UT Austin official transcript. Cost me $20. Jeez Louise, nothing in here is free anymore. And then when my contract signing day on June 1st, that's when I did that official announcement. And I also went to my school because my principal was like, hey, do you want to set up a date to come and tour our school? Y'all, it's beautiful. And you guys actually saw like the background of my school in my picture there, my thumbnail, and on Instagram. Y'all, it has windows. I got a chance to look at my classroom. I don't even know though if it's my classroom. She just kind of said 3rd grade, but I think they have multiple classrooms, so I'm not sure if it was that one or if it'll be like switched around. But there, it looks amazing. It has windows, it has floor to ceiling walls. Oh my god, I'm gonna be so excited. The recess, the cafeteria, they have a gym. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. I can't wait. So pretty much that's it. That's my interview process. Sorry guys if it was way too long. I try to get as much information done as possible. If you guys still have some questions, leave them down below. I'll try to comment as much as I can. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe. More videos are coming up. Bye guys, I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.